Please pray with me. More of you, O Christ, less of me. More of you, O Christ, less of me. More of you, O Christ, less of me. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts draw us closer to you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. This first Sunday after Christmas, we often read the story of the three magi and the star from Matthew. But this year I decided to do something a little different, and I went off to Colossians, to my favorite verses from Colossians. Don't read Colossians a lot, but these 4 verses are about as good as it gets for a summary of what a Christian life might look like, what a follower of Jesus ought to be up to. And it's not the little baby Jesus, it's the grown-up Jesus who had to live in a world of inequality and injustice and chose to follow a path of healing that would show another way of living. Literally, that another world is possible. And it's the world that's described here in the letter to the Colossians. It begins, of course, with forgiveness. So if there more of us had been here, maybe someone would have said it. Or maybe some of you just chose not to say it because you didn't want to say it. But one of the most important things I think to do at the end of every year is what our Jewish friends do on the end of their year, on Yom Kippur, before they celebrate Rosh Hashanah. And that's to fearlessly and with humility search your heart for where you need to reconcile with others and with yourself. I don't know if you're out of whack with anybody. Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. Maybe you got through this year without going sideways with anyone in your family or friends or in the community. But if you haven't, this is a good time to perhaps forgive those who maybe failed you this year. And it could be people you don't even really know. You might have to forgive people who hold a different point of view. You might have to forgive and let go of being really angry about how particular things have happened in this past year. And I'm not just talking about in the greater political world, but in our own lives. As most of you know, in fact, in this group, all of you know, we struggled a lot in our project this year with a former contractor. And forgiveness, I just want to say, doesn't mean that you don't make things right. You do need to have accountability, and you do need to make sure that you move forward with what is a truly clean slate. And so forgiveness isn't just saying, oh, well, that's okay. I don't care that you did blah, blah, blah. It's not that. Radical forgiveness is no longer holding on to the anger and the emotions that keep you from moving forward. Because otherwise, that person who may have wronged you or failed you, whether they truly did it or it was just in your own mind, as long as you're focused on that, they're taking up a lot of space in your brain and soul. And as Anne Lamott says, I love this, it becomes a form of resentment. And being resentful is like drinking poison expecting somebody else to die. So choose your own health and well-being, which is something pretty much everyone said. Choose your own health and well-being. And that may mean that you might have to do some radical forgiveness or letting go of things that did not go the way you wanted them to do. Things that were hurtful. Things that keep you up at night saying, could I have done this differently? Could it, something, if it's keeping you up at night, you really need to let it go. So that's the first part of this. And until that process is done, none of the rest of it is really possible. None of it's really possible. It's not really possible. The Christian ideal, which of course almost no one lives, even Jesus didn't do it very well, begins in forgiveness and ends in peace and gratitude. You cannot self-righteously proclaim yourself better than everyone else and claim to be a follower of Jesus. It just doesn't work that way. Instead, we have to be reconciled to one another in order to get the benefits of the peace that makes us one body. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. No justice, no peace. No forgiveness, no peace. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts is not a solo climb. It's something that must be done in community, whatever your community is. And that allows us to become one body. And that allows us to be able to sing songs of gratitude. Songs of gratitude that will always be on our lips. Songs that aren't like what my friend Pastor Phil Gray used to sing every once in a while. He used to sing, "Ain't nobody saved but me." And he would sing that to folks he thought had gotten a little self-righteous. He said, you know, we save each other. My salvation, my peace is tied up in your peace. And that's why it's really hard. Because a lot of folks are not on that path. Not only do they not want peace, they don't want you to have peace either. So this is hard. People do fail us. People do things that are beyond the pale. But if we focus on them and not on moving forward, letting go of whatever hurt we've experienced, so that we can actually have the energy to do the path of forgiveness and accountability, we will be stuck. And I know I am preaching this sermon for me and me alone. Maybe some of the rest of you have had this experience, but I've been pretty mad this year at a few folks. I'm just telling the truth here. And it's going to keep us from having the 2025 that I want to have, which is one that is healthy, that is whole, that can sing songs of gratitude for all that we've been through, and that we will finally make our way into our new home in El Sobrante. That does not deny any of the challenges still in our way. But by letting go of our past hurts, I believe it makes it possible to have enough energy to face the new challenges. So I'm going to be real honest with you. We've been doing a lot of budget work, and we are nowhere close to having enough money to finish this. We've got some thoughts about how to fix that, but at this moment, we don't have a concrete plan. So pray, 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 and get all your energy together, because we're going to have to pull another miracle out of the hat. We've already pulled a lot of them, but to get it all the way over the finish line is going to take a few more miracles. And by the time we have our semi-annual meeting, you all will know the size and shape of those miracles that are needed. And maybe we'll have already had one by then. Who knows? Sometimes for this project, gifts have just fallen out of the sky. It's the honest to God's truth. We have had that experience. I don't like trusting it, but we have had that experience, and we will find a way. But I'm just being truthful. So we have to be ready. As I preached all the way through Advent, this isn't about waiting. This is about getting ready. We've got some very special things we get to do this year. And I can't tell you how exciting it was to see that stained glass. To see it and think, oh my gosh, this will be so beautiful in here. It actually is going to fit really well. It's going to fill that space, but be up high enough that it's not too overwhelming. It's actually going to fit really well. And so I'm just delighted by that. And thank you, Kathy, for keeping it safe in storage for a gazillion years. And we got a bonus. There was a whole crate of windows. Kathy doesn't even know where they're from, but we have a bunch of windows, and they're sort of the shape of these windows, like this, a little more pointy at the top, and a little more traditional, but they were not made at all. It's very clear they were not made by the stained glass person who made the very beautiful contemporary piece. They're much more traditional. I don't know that we have any place for them, but some church or somebody is going to enjoy having those windows, because we have bonus windows, and they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful, very traditional, don't really go. We don't have a spot for them, but somebody will. Somebody will. And I'm delighted by that. It was like the best Christmas ever to uncrate that stained glass. And you must come see it, because it's not going to be there long. So if you can't come on January 4th, find a time to meet up with one of us so you can go see the stained glass before it has to go back in the crates while the floors are being done. Because we can't leave it out when they start working on the floors. Colleen did an amazing thing of organizing a time where we could have the floor available so that we could at least see it. So back to Colossians. Letting the peace of Christ dwell in your heart after you've let go of what you need to let go of will bring a new year that will be one for the history books. And while the world may make other kinds of history, we're going to make our own history. Some of it will be personal. I plan to be the healthiest I have been since I was 18 years old. I don't know about you, but maybe you've got a few personal goals like that too. To be healthy, to be happy, to be reconciled to your neighbors, to be ready to be the founders of a new church and a whole new way of being church. I've got to get to a place where that doesn't make me feel tired, but more excited. And I wish it for all of us. And indeed, on this first Sunday after Christmas, may the peace of Christ dwell in you richly.